I've always had an affinity for the abandoned and the forgotten. I run a blog called Echoes of the Forgotten that chronicles my journeys through derelict buildings, deserted towns, and all manner of places reclaimed by time. My latest venture, however, was unlike any before. This is the story of my descent into the depths of the Hollow Line, an abandoned subway station in the heart of a sprawling, modern city. The Hollow Line wasn't just another dot on the map of the city's vast subway system. Its story was woven with threads of mystery and darkness. Closed off in the late 1960s, this station became an urban legend, whispered about in hushed tones by those who dared to remember. Rumors of strange disappearances and eerie occurrences clung to it like a chilling mist. I stumbled upon the legend of the Hollow Line through a comment left on my blog. An anonymous reader urged me to explore the station, hinting at untold secrets hidden in its depths. As someone who thrived on unveiling the forgotten, this was a siren call I couldn't resist. It was an irresistible opportunity for a thrilling exploration and, potentially, a gripping blog post. My friends and the few locals I chatted with while gathering information about the station warned me against it. Some places are forgotten for a reason, they'd say with a serious tone that sent shivers down my spine. But the allure of the unknown was too powerful. I was determined to uncover the truth behind the Hollow Line, to document its secrets and bring them into the light. So, on a chilly autumn evening, I packed my bag with essentials, a flashlight, camera, notebook, and a few tools to help me navigate any obstacles. I had done my research, pored over old maps, and found an inconspicuous entry point that would lead me into the heart of the station. As I approached the old entrance, a sense of unease settled over me. The city's noises faded into a distant hum, and the only sound that accompanied me was the crunch of falling leaves under my boots. The entrance was concealed behind overgrown foliage and years of neglect, a forgotten relic hidden in plain sight. With a deep breath to steady my nerves, I pushed aside the rusted gate and stepped into the darkness of the Hollow Line. The beam of my flashlight cut through the pitch black, revealing a world untouched by time. Layers of dust coated everything, and the silence was so profound it felt almost tangible. I had ventured into many abandoned places before, but this was different. The Hollow Line wasn't just a physical space, it felt like a living, breathing entity. It was as if the very walls were imbued with the memories of those who had once traversed its platforms. As I moved deeper into the station, the air grew colder, and the oppressive silence was broken only by the echo of my footsteps. The walls were adorned with faded posters, a frozen snapshot of a bygone era. The tracks lay dormant, with the rusted train sitting solemnly on them, like a slumbering beast. I could feel the weight of the station's history pressing in on me, a history that I was determined to uncover. Little did I know, I was about to step into a nightmare that would forever change the way I looked at the forgotten corners of the world. The deeper I ventured into the Hollow Line, the more I felt detached from the world outside. My flashlight's beam seemed to struggle against the darkness, as if the shadows themselves were a tangible force. It was in these moments, surrounded by the remnants of a forgotten past, that I found the thrill of exploration most intoxicating. I was about to take a turn into a narrower corridor when my phone vibrated in my pocket, breaking the haunting silence. An anonymous message appeared on the screen, its words sending a chill down my spine. Beware the whispers of the lost, for they yearn for company. The message vanished as quickly as it appeared, leaving no trace it was ever there. Puzzled and slightly unnerved, I pocketed my phone. The rational part of my brain suggested it was just a prank, perhaps by someone who knew of my plans. But a deeper, more primal part of me couldn't shake off the sense of foreboding that the message instilled. Pressing on, I found my surroundings changing. The once pristine and modern architecture gave way to older, more decrepit features. It was as if I was walking backwards through time, witnessing the layers of the city's history unfold with each step. It was then I stumbled upon something truly peculiar, a collection of old, yellowed newspapers scattered across a bench. The headline spoke of unexplained disappearances linked to the Hollow Line, dating back to its closure. The articles were vague, filled with speculation and unease, but no concrete answers. This piqued my curiosity further. What had really happened here? The station's eerie silence was now punctuated by distant, unidentifiable sounds that seemed to come from the bowels of the earth. Each creak and groan of the structure made my heart race, a mix of fear and excitement. As I delved deeper, the graffiti on the walls grew more frequent and more unsettling. Phrases like "they never left" and "the Hollow Line remembers" were scrawled in frantic, shaky hands. It was a stark reminder that this place wasn't just a relic, but a tomb of untold stories. My determination to uncover the truth about the Hollow Line was now coupled with a sense of urgency. The station was more than an abandoned structure, it was a keeper of secrets, and I felt compelled to bring those secrets to light. Despite my growing trepidation, I continued onward. Each step took me further from the world I knew and deeper into a realm of shadows and whispers. I was no longer just an urban explorer, I had become a seeker of truths, braving the unknown that lurked in the heart of the Hollow Line. The air grew colder and denser as I ventured further into the belly of the Hollow Line. My flashlight seemed to struggle against the overwhelming darkness, casting long, eerie shadows that danced on the crumbling walls. The sense of isolation was palpable, the world above felt like a distant memory. Before embarking on this journey, I had spent nights poring over old maps and records, trying to piece together the station's layout and history. But nothing could have prepared me for the reality of being here. The maps were a mere skeleton. The station, in its decaying grandeur, was the flesh and blood. The initial part of the station, though abandoned, retained a semblance of the mundane. But as I delved deeper, reality seemed to warp. The architecture became an amalgamation of different eras, each turn revealing a new, decayed facet of its history. It started with sounds, soft, almost imperceptible whispers that seemed to emanate from the very walls. I would stop, hold my breath, but the moment I resumed walking, so would the whispers. Shadows seemed to flicker in my peripheral vision, always just out of sight, retreating when I turned to look. In the depths of the station, I found a narrow, hidden passageway. It was not on any of the maps I had studied. Overcome with curiosity, I squeezed through the gap. The passage led to an older part of the station, long forgotten and shrouded in darkness. This hidden section was a twisted maze, its walls lined with archaic symbols that made my skin crawl. The whispers grew louder, morphing into anguished moans and stifled sobs. The air was thick with the scent of damp and decay. I began to see things, figures in the shadows, fleeting glimpses of faces twisted in silent screams, hands reaching out from the darkness, only to vanish when I tried to focus on them. The deeper I went, the more the line between reality and nightmare blurred. I felt eyes on me from every direction, as if I was intruding into a realm that was never meant for the living. The station's secrets were close, I could feel it. But with each step, I was losing a part of myself to the hollow line's haunting embrace. My resolve to uncover the truth was now mixed with a primal fear. I was no longer just an explorer, but a witness to the remnants of lost souls, trapped in an eternal loop of despair and madness. The realization hit me hard. I was in a place that was as much alive as it was dead, a limbo for those who had vanished within its walls. The Hollow Line was not just a station, it was a purgatory, a place between worlds, and I was caught in its chilling grasp. The deeper I ventured into the hidden section of the Hollow Line, the more the oppressive atmosphere weighed upon me. The air was thick with a sense of dread that clung to my skin like cold sweat. The whispers had grown into an incessant chorus, echoing around me, words indiscernible yet full of sorrow and warning. I found myself in what appeared to be the central chamber of this hidden section. The room was vast, far larger than any other part of the subway station. Its walls were covered in intricate, grotesque murals depicting scenes of anguish and despair, a chilling testament to the horrors that had unfolded here. In the center of the chamber stood an altar-like structure, surrounded by an array of candles, long since extinguished. As I approached, the air grew colder, the whispers louder, and the shadows darker. It was here, in this unhallowed place, that I came face to face with the harrowing truth of the Hollow Line. The candles flickered to life, casting a ghostly glow across the chamber. Figures began to materialize around me, their forms ethereal and shifting. These were the lost souls of the Hollow Line, bound to this place by a sinister, otherworldly entity that lurked in the shadows. Their faces were twisted in eternal torment, eyes hollow with despair. They reached out to me, not with malice, but with a desperate plea for release. Amongst their whispers, I discerned a warning. "Leave this cursed place, lest you join us in our eternal damnation." It was then that I felt a presence, ancient and malevolent, observing me from the darkness. The entity of the Hollow Line had awoken to my intrusion. A sense of overwhelming terror gripped me as I realized the gravity of my situation. I was in the heart of a nightmare, and the nightmare had turned its gaze upon me. The entity made itself known, a formless shadow that seemed to absorb the light around it. It moved with a chilling grace, its presence suffocating. The lost souls wailed in despair as it approached, their voices a cacophony of pain and fear. I knew then that I had to escape, to flee from this unholy place. The whispers of the lost souls turned into urgent cries, guiding me away from the entity. I ran, my breath ragged, my heart pounding in my chest. The entity's malevolent force pursued me, a relentless darkness that sought to claim me as one of its own. The once familiar corridors of the Hollow Line had become a labyrinth of terror, each turn a potential trap. The entity's presence loomed over me, a constant threat that drove me to the edge of madness. In my frantic escape, I glimpsed the realities of the Hollow Line, the souls it had claimed, the lives it had shattered. The station was not just a place of physical abandonment, but a realm of lost hopes and unending despair. As I neared the exit, the entity's power began to wane, its grip on me loosening. The voices of the lost souls grew fainter, their whispers a distant echo in the dark corridors. With one final burst of adrenaline-fueled desperation, I emerged from the depths of the Hollow Line, gasping for air and drenched in a cold sweat. The night sky greeted me, a stark contrast to the darkness I had escaped. I stood there, on the threshold of the forgotten station, a survivor of its horrors, forever changed by the secrets it held. The Hollow Line was a place where reality and nightmare intertwined, a warning of the dangers that lurk in the shadows of the forgotten. The world outside the Hollow Line felt surreal, as if I had stepped into a different reality. My legs trembled beneath me, my breaths coming in short, ragged gasps. I leaned against the wall, trying to comprehend the nightmare I had just escaped. The early morning air was crisp and biting, a stark contrast to the suffocating darkness of the subway. As I made my way through the deserted streets, the harrowing events in the station replayed in my mind. The ghostly figures, the sinister entity, and the chorus of whispers echoed in my ears. I felt a lingering presence, as if the entity was still reaching out, trying to pull me back into the depths. I realized then that my escape was more than physical, it was a desperate fight for my sanity. The hollow line had revealed its true nature to me, a malevolent force that fed on despair and sorrow. It was not just a place, but a sentient being, a collector of lost souls. The whispers of the ghostly inhabitants of the hollow line had turned into a guiding chorus in those final moments of escape. Their voices, once filled with despair, had taken on a tone of urgency, pushing me towards the exit, towards safety. In their own way, they had saved me from the clutches of the entity. As the sun began to rise, casting its light over the city, the weight of my experience weighed heavily on me. The hollow line was no longer a subject for my blog, it was a grim reminder of the thin veil between our world and the unknown. In the days that followed, I grappled with the decision of whether to share my experience. My blog had always been about exploring and uncovering the hidden, but the hollow line was different. It was a place that demanded respect and fear, a place that should remain untouched and forgotten. I chose silence, a decision that weighed heavily on me. The hollow line and its secrets would remain unspoken, a chapter in my life closed and sealed away. But the echoes of that night never truly left me. The whispers of the lost souls, the chilling presence of the entity, remained etched in my memory, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurks in forgotten places. As I moved on with my life, the hollow line became a distant, haunting memory. But deep down, I knew that the entity still lingered, waiting in the shadows for the next unwary explorer to breach its domain. The whispers from the depths of the hollow line continued, a haunting melody that called to those who dared to listen. The days following my escape from the hollow line passed in a blur. The world seemed different, as if I was viewing it through a distorted lens. The once thrilling call of abandoned places now held a note of warning, a reminder of the fine line between curiosity and recklessness. I couldn't bring myself to write about the hollow line on my blog. How could I? To write about it would be to acknowledge it fully, to relive the horrors I had witnessed. No, some secrets were meant to remain hidden, shrouded in the shadows of obscurity. The hollow line had changed me. No longer was I the fearless urban explorer, seeking out the forgotten and the abandoned. Now, I found myself advocating for respect and caution when treading into these lost places. I warned others of the dangers, not just physical but psychological, that lurked in such expeditions. The hollow line remained a silent specter in my life, a haunting memory that refused to fade. Sometimes, in the quiet of the night, I would hear whispers, soft and distant, as if carried by the wind from the depths of that cursed station. It was a chilling reminder that the entity, and the souls it ensnared, were still out there, somewhere in the darkness. I often wondered about the fate of those lost souls. Would they forever doomed to wander the corridors of the hollow line, trapped in an endless cycle of despair? Or was there a chance for their release, a hope that they might one day find peace? These questions lingered in my mind, unanswered. The hollow line remained a topic of urban legends and ghost stories, its truth known only to me, and the shadows that dwelled within. I kept my silence, out of fear and respect, knowing that some doors, once opened, could never be fully closed. As time passed, I slowly returned to my explorations, but with a newfound caution and reverence for the stories and secrets held within each site. But the hollow line was different. It was a chapter of my life that I close, a haunting experience that I would carry with me always. The city moved on, oblivious to the darkness that lurked beneath its bustling streets. The hollow line remained a ghost, a whisper in the wind, a chilling reminder of the unknown that awaits in the forgotten corners of the world. It was a place of fear and mystery, a place that I had escaped, but one that would forever hold a piece of me in its shadowy embrace.